Hello and welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving deep into the heart of Chicago, a city of contrasts, to explore the complex financial landscape of its South Side. It's a story of struggle, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of a better future. So, grab a seat and let's get into it. The South Side of Chicago isn't a single entity. It's a vibrant mosaic of neighborhoods like Englewood, Roseland, and South Shore. Each has its own unique story, but they share a common history of economic disinvestment for decades, the decline of industry, a shrinking population, and systemic neglect from both public and private sectors have taken their toll. The result, a region grappling with a dwindling tax base, aging infrastructure, and persistent poverty. Yet, despite these heavy burdens, the South Side is bursting with cultural richness and human potential. To truly understand its financial reality, we need to look at everything together: employment, taxes, housing, health, and policy. Let's start with one of the biggest hurdles: employment. In neighborhoods like South Shore and Washington Park, unemployment rates hover around 16 to 17%, more than double the city's average. The situation is even more dire for young people. For Black youth between 16 and 19, the jobless rate skyrockets to over 70%. This isn't just about a lack of jobs. It's a profound lack of economic inclusion and pathways to move up. There's a persistent mismatch between the education and training available and what the job market actually demands. This gap fuels a vicious cycle of underemployment, pushing talented residents to seek opportunities elsewhere. This employment crisis directly impacts the area's tax revenue across the South Side and its suburbs. Property tax collection is alarmingly low. Some areas collect only 86% of what they're owed, compared to 96% countywide. That's a staggering loss of over $185 million in revenue every single year. This local shortfall is made worse by Chicago's citywide fiscal crisis, with a projected $1 billion deficit by 2025 and massive pension liabilities eating up the budget. There's very little money left to reinvest in the communities that need it most. When the majority of your budget is already committed to fixed costs, revitalization becomes an uphill battle. The physical environment tells a similar story. Drive through parts of Englewood or Roseland and you'll see vacant lots and houses in disrepair. For many properties, the cost to fix them up is higher than what they'd sell for on the market. It's an economic trap. This is where programs like Rebuild 2.0 are trying to make a difference by subsidizing large-scale home rehabilitation projects. Infrastructure is another piece of the puzzle. Critical projects like the long-awaited Red Line extension face delays. This lack of reliable transit cuts people off from job opportunities in other parts of the city and stifles property value growth, keeping communities isolated. These financial struggles are deeply intertwined with public health. Shockingly, there's a 30-year life expectancy gap between residents of the South Side and those on the more affluent North Side. This isn't a coincidence. It's the direct result of inadequate access to healthcare, environmental hazards like pollution, and a higher prevalence of chronic diseases. Underfunded hospitals and clinics struggle to meet the overwhelming need. However, there is hope on the horizon. Major investments, like Advocate Healthcare's $1 billion initiative, are beginning to address these systemic gaps, aiming to build a healthier, more resilient community from the ground up. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. Despite these persistent challenges, there are real, tangible signs of progress sprouting up across the South Side. A key driver of this change is the Invest Southwest initiative. The city has directed over $750 million in public funds to breathe new life into commercial corridors and neighborhood infrastructure. This isn't just about beautification. It's about creating hubs of economic activity. Simultaneously, that massive investment from Advocate Healthcare is doing more than just improving health outcomes. It's a major job creator, providing new roles in both healthcare and construction. Housing is also getting a boost, with new bond measures and development programs channeling money into home rehabilitation and the creation of affordable housing. And looking ahead, massive tech projects like the Illinois Quantum and Microelectronics Park promise billions in long-term economic impact. But these green shoots are growing in a difficult climate. Chicago's structural deficit, the ever-present pension crisis, and the unpredictability of federal infrastructure funding all create a constant tension. The current state is a balancing act between providing immediate relief and building long-term fiscal stability. To understand why progress can be so slow, we have to look at the structural barriers holding the South Side back. The biggest elephant in the room is Chicago's overwhelming pension debt. It consumes a huge slice of the city's revenue, leaving precious little for discretionary spending on neighborhood projects. This is compounded by weak local revenue, low property values, population loss, and inefficient tax collection mean these communities simply do not generate enough money to fund their own stability and growth. For private developers, the perceived investment risk in these areas is high, which drives up borrowing costs and discourages the long-term commitments needed for real transformation. On top of that, you have a fragmented system of governance, with multiple overlapping agencies and non-profits often working with misaligned priorities, leading to inefficiency. Any meaningful solution has to tackle these deep-rooted issues head-on. So, what are the potential solutions? There's no single magic bullet. It requires a long-term, multi-pronged strategy. A critical first step is to increase and strategically target public investment in infrastructure and essential services. This means more funding for transportation to connect people to jobs, for high-speed broadband access, for community health clinics, and for public parks. The city's $1.25 billion affordable housing bond is a great example of how well-structured public financing can spark growth. This kind of spending has a powerful multiplier effect. It creates jobs today, improves connectivity for tomorrow, and boosts the confidence of local businesses. Next, we have to talk about tax reform. It's vital to make the property tax system more efficient and improve collection. When some municipalities are losing out on over 10% of their potential revenue, that's a massive solvable problem. Strengthening enforcement on delinquent properties, updating outdated assessments, and redirecting surplus funds from tax increment financing, or TIF districts, to underserved neighborhoods could unlock a steady stream of money for reinvestment, all without raising tax rates. Workforce development is equally crucial. We need to tailor education and vocational training to the jobs of the future in industries like healthcare, green technology, and advanced manufacturing that are actually growing. By focusing on reducing youth unemployment through paid apprenticeships, targeted job training, and small business incubators, we can break generational cycles of poverty and anchor economic opportunity right here in the community. Housing, of course, is the cornerstone of it all. Programs like Rebuild 2.0 show us the way forward. By focusing on rehabilitating entire blocks of homes instead of just one or two, they create enough scale to make development financially viable, even in low-market areas. Affordable housing bonds and homeowner assistance programs help fight blight, stabilize property values, and, most importantly, preserve generational wealth for residents who have stuck with their communities through thick and thin. Public-private partnerships are another powerful tool. When corporations, non-profits, and community groups collaborate, they can fund huge projects that no single entity could handle alone. The Illinois Quantum and Microelectronics Park, projected to generate $20 billion in economic impact, is a perfect example. The key to making these projects truly successful is ensuring they include local hiring agreements, supplier diversity, and a real sense of community ownership. Finally, none of this works without policy reform and fiscal discipline at the city level. This is the hard part. It means restructuring pensions, refinancing debt, and adopting transparent, data-driven budgeting. Creating a predictable financial framework builds investor confidence, lowers borrowing costs, and ultimately frees up more resources for neighborhood development. While politically difficult, these reforms are absolutely essential for sustaining any progress. Of course, every solution comes with its own risks and trade-offs. As investment flows in and property values rise, there's a very real danger of gentrification, which can displace long-time residents. We need strong affordability protections built in from the start. Funding sustainability is another major concern. Many of these wonderful initiatives rely on grants or bonds that have an expiration date. What happens when the money runs out? Then there's the question of capacity. City departments and community organizations are often stretched thin, which can lead to project delays. And finally, political volatility is a constant threat. A change in leadership or a shift in budget priorities can derail even the most promising long-term plans. The south side of Chicago is truly at a crossroads. On one side, there's the heavy weight of history disinvestment, fiscal crisis, and deep-seated inequality. On the other, there's the clear promise of a new beginning, a coordinated renewal built on community power and smart, sustainable finance. Yes, the challenges of high unemployment, a weak tax base, and the pension burden are very real. But initiatives like Invest Southwest, Rebuild 2.0, and bold investments in technology show that revitalization isn't just a distant dream, it's already happening. Ultimately, solving the South Side's financial challenges isn't an act of charity, but it is an act of fiscal prudence for the entire city of Chicago. A more economically inclusive and prosperous South Side strengthens the city's tax base, stabilizes its budget, and becomes a new engine for innovation and growth for generations to come. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into Chicago's South Side. We hope it gave you a clearer picture of the challenges and the incredible potential that exists. If you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more content like this. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.